Nuera and distinguished parents and members of the faculty of and Gachibowli. It's indeed a great honor for me to speak to you, and it's a great opportunity for me also, not only to talk about Corona, but also to talk about the critical importance of early learning, which to me starts from the daycare facilities that we provide to our 18 months old or 2-year-old children. It is so important and critical. I would say that it is more important than primary, middle, and senior school. It is very important because children till the age of 5 have got distinctive advantages over adults. They are creative. 98% children are creative. What happens is, as they pass out of the school, the creativity drops to 15%, and when they become adults, it drops to 2%. These figures were obtained from NASA trials in 1968 and 70 by Dr. George Lang, and those of you who are interested to know about the trials, you just click him on Google and you'll get all the details. It is a sad part that children who are God gifted with 98% assets in creativity, they end up in life with 2%. Children are more empathetic than adults. Children are more moral and ethical than adults. They know what is right and what is wrong. They have a moral imagination. 90% of a child's brain is over by the age of 7. Brain development. The other brain part, that is the frontal cortex of the brain, develops by the time you're 25. But 90% of the brain, development of the brain, that is the synaptic connections and the neurons inside the brain, takes place at this early age. I'm saying all these things to you. I'm not talking about music and maths and grammar. They are God gifted. What I'm trying to say is that they are actually scientists in the crib. They are actually philosophical babies. Therefore, lockdown or no lockdown, corona or no corona, the continuation of their education, online or offline or a mix of the two, is absolutely critical. It is their lifeline for the future. If we compromise on any of this, our child will be handicapped in years to come. And as I speak to you now, it will become very, very clear. I think that is a very, very important thing for us to understand that. The second very big important thing for us to understand is the difference between early education. When I early education, I mean up to say age 8, 9, 10 over there. The parent plays a greater role in the overall development, including academics of a child, than in middle school and then in senior school. Actually, first teachers. Therefore, the collaboration between the second teacher, which is in the school, and the first teacher, which are the parents, is very, very close and intimate in early years. And I would say early primary years. So let us take right up to say 8 or 9 age. It's absolutely critical. It is. Therefore, the teacher's hand is strengthened when the parent takes part in that collaboration, and the parent's hand is strengthened when the teacher takes part in that collaboration. And overall, the benefit goes to the child. Therefore, the important thing for us to understand is that the education philosophy of our school has to focus on the innovative capabilities of the child. Let me give an example from our recent visit to Israel. Just before this corona stuff started, we were in January in Israel, and we visited a large number of their schools. We were there basically to collaborate with the Tel Aviv University to set up a curiosity lab for robots. in, uh, in Bangalore on our campus over there. Now, in all our schools today, in the primary schools, earlier schools there, all the so-called jungle gyms we have, they are very sanitized, deodorized structures made of fiberglass or plastics, and ammas and didis waiting to stand by to see nothing goes wrong over there, soft sand, so when the child falls, nothing happens over there. When we spoke to the Israelis, they laughed at us. They laughed at us. And this is the model that is being followed in most of the countries. The Israelis, who are, of course, very innovative, Jews are the most innovative race in the world today. So they have a system where called junkyard. So their jungle gym is the junkyard in the school. Broken down cars, cycles, stereos, almirahs, rugs, curtains, shoes, which you pick up from the junk market. They're junk to be destroyed. This starts from their daycare, preschool, and kindergarten. This is their play gym. When you say outdoor play, this is what they do. Because all of this that I'm talking to you about, they believe that junk leads to creativity and innovation. Children work here without any adult supervision. There is no Didi or Amma supervising them, teacher supervising them. And they have that freedom, like adults have, of working unsupervised. These are 2-year-old kids, 3-year-old kids, 4-year-old kids, 5-year-old kids, 6-year-old kids. This is the importance they lay to creativity and innovation. This is why they have survived because of this. Therefore, it's very, very important for us to understand that in these times of change, coronaviruses, and many more pandemics to come in the future over there, the only vaccine against corona is innovation. And innovation has to start as early as possible, from 0 to 10, where 50% of human learning is over. 50% of human learning is over. And nearly 50 to 65% of the child's brain has developed by then. So if you don't focus on their education and their upbringing over there, they'll be handicapped when they grow up there. So, innovation, the ability to collaborate, ability to fail, ability to work without adult supervision. These are the features. It's not that we are going to introduce junkyards in our school tomorrow. I know that this is a concept which is not going to work in India. But it just goes to show the importance they lay for creativity and innovation and collaboration and independent thinking of a child. Therefore, emphasis of education on these children has to be much more. And at parents today, because of their commitments and their lack of the capabilities to do all this, because they're not been trained for it, it is important for us to take into consideration. They have to be in school, online or offline. The greatest damage we can do to our child is to say, all right, kid will stay at home. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm not a cynic, but the times we are living in now are so critical. And there's going to be no let up. Let me tell you that everything is going to change. Everything is changing and everything must change. This is the law of evolution. We have changed from water molecules to where we are today, to Homo sapiens. It has taken us a couple of million years to change. We are changing from simple organisms to complex organisms. And corona is a reminder that we are in that complex stage now. Therefore, I sincerely urge you that business will not be as usual. And the only thing that is going to keep us afloat, our children afloat, is innovation. We will lose this window of opportunity in the first 10 years. That is the greatest window of opportunity we have. Therefore, from 98, so they'll be going with 98% capability to 2% output in real life. And we have nobody to blame but parents and teachers should that thing happen. So in these times, early years education, primary education is absolutely as I see. Therefore, future workplaces, I think the biggest impact coronavirus, which is a welcoming thing that has happened, is that all workplaces are being turned into war zones. What I would call is the Beirutization of society. We are in a state of war. We are in a tough neighborhood. It is not only corona. Climate change is lurking around the corner. And the catastrophic circumstances and consequences of climate change will be 100 times more than corona. Corona will look like zero. How will we prepare our children if there is a climate collapse? If we don't control the temperatures, keep it below 2 degrees Celsius, the situation is going to be irretrievable. And the only way our children are going to survive is if they are innovative. There is no other solution to it. And education is the only way ahead. So in these war zones, even Fortune 500 companies are startups now. Google can collapse tomorrow. So can Amazon, so can Apple, so can Microsoft. Big businesses are already started to collapse. They're just packing up. They'll just be a statistic in history. Therefore, to graduate your child with 100 out of 100 in chemistry and maths, or 200 out of 100 in chemistry and maths, is not going to save our children. They require marks. They require academic excellence. But academic excellence without competencies are of no use. So the first big shift that we are seeing is the shift from content to competencies. That is the big, great shift that is taking place. At the start of the fourth industrial age, but it took a corona to rub our nose in the ground to remind us that the change has happened and better do something about it. The second big change is obsolescence. It's the order of the day. Jobs, medicine, economy, politics, education, leadership, whatever. You take education as an example. We've always spoken of online as a substitute. Ladies and gentlemen, online is an alternative. It is no longer a substitute. It's an alternative. Whenever I get my next opportunity to speak to you all, I will show to you that those schools that are online schools in the world academically do better than kids who go to traditional classrooms. The reason is very simple. Online focuses on non-linear learning. Classrooms focus on linear learning. This is the reason for it. I'm giving you the reason for it also. Therefore, let us not be dismayed that kids have to be in a traditional environment. Yes, traditional environment has got a lot of advantages, which online does not happen. But we cannot rule out online. It's an alternative. And as I see it, till such time that the government, the leaders of the world and the country are satisfied that we are green, schools are not going to reopen. They are not going to take a chance. And we certainly at Indus will not take a chance with the safety of your child. Therefore, obsolescence is something which we need to understand. You take Moore's law, which says that computing power doubles every 24 months. Ladies and gentlemen, everything can change in 24 days, 24 hours, 24 minutes, as I speak to you now. You may suddenly find that one big innovating company in the world has collapsed. Therefore, the only way we can reinvent ourselves and have the ability to reskill ourselves. Today, there is serious talk going on. I'm talking about the education world in particular. There's serious conversation going on that doctors, engineers, teachers, everybody will have to reskill themselves by law every 5 years. Because the new statutes that may come is that the universities will make your degrees null and void. So if I'm a master's in physics and I'm teaching at Indus and I graduate, let us say I graduate today, after 5 years, MSc goes. I have to reskill myself to get my degree back. Therefore, qualifications will have an expiry date. And the qualification they're going to ask is not that you re-qualify yourself to update yourself. They will say that what have you done with the MSc physics you had? We're not interested in your qualifications, Mr. So-and-so and Mrs. So-and-so and Miss So-and-so. We're interested to know what have you done with your qualifications. If you're not done, we don't grant you that, we don't re-degree you. If you don't re-degree you, you lose your job. That is already under discussion now. And it's likely to happen for doctors, for engineers, any professional, plumber, electricians, engineers of all varieties. And the third big thing which we are seeing now is the collapse of standardization. In India, like Asian society, is a typical example. Command control style. Today, if you take the particularly the examples of women in our society today, men are also affected by it, but women more so. Most of the critical decisions which women take in our society are decisions which are taken by somebody else other than them. Parents, peers, grandparents. What to study, which school to go to, what to graduate in, what business to start, what jobs to commence, whom to marry, when to start a family, when to stop the family, to work or not to work. All critical decisions are being taken by somebody else. And you expect that person to be innovative and to be a risk taker. I think we need our heads to be examined by Nimhans. The logic is very clear that we have to have greater autonomy. For example, students must have greater autonomy in deciding their curriculum and how it is to be taught, in what sequence it is to be taught. We have to empower our children to take decisions which adults will find difficult to take. You take the example of the junkyard in Israel, which I gave to you over there. There, the parents leave their home at 7 o'clock, 7:30 in the morning, and they come back at 7 o'clock in the evening. And the Israeli families are very large, about 4 kids they got. All 4 kids, age 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. They go to school on their own, they come back to school on their own, they come back, they cook, they get their breakfast, their things organized, they're on their own, they're independent. They go for a date in the evening, young men and women, from all of them from the army there. They got the automatic rifle on the table. She has an automatic rifle there, he has an automatic rifle there. The code word is given in 4 hours, the couple go into battle. 4 hours, they go into battle straight away. The front trenches. They're on the beach, their automatics are lying in the lockers there on the beach. So they're surfing there, and the code word comes, off they go in 4 hours into battle. That is the state of readiness of society. And that has to be the state of readiness of our society. So standardization cannot be that you follow certain systems and processes, because systems and processes in peacetime don't work in war. In peacetime, human beings will decide the system and process. In a wartime scenario, the situation will decide what system and process to follow. So there is no one shoe fit all process in a war zone. Because once the first shot is fired, all the plans change. You got to rework all the plans again. And lastly, I feel a very, very important thing, and particularly for young children, is that we are witnessing today the greatest psychological experiment in human history. 7.2 billion people are under this corona experiment. Isolation, uncertainty, fear of the contagion, financial worries, what will happen tomorrow to me, to my children, to my loved ones. And this is very, very important aspect there. Therefore, we at Indus lay a lot of focus on what I would call, for want of any better word, is post-traumatic growth. Post-traumatic growth, that means the individual takes responsibility for herself and for himself to welcome adversity. You welcome adversity, you welcome suffering, and as a result of which you transform yourself into a stronger and a better person. And therefore, if you do that by imbibing in children what is called a purpose in life. You must be familiar with this word tikkun olam. The Jews, all Jew families in the world, the parents start it off and the students take it on. How, my darling child, are you going to make the world a better place? What is it you feel at your age 3 or age 4, 5 or 8 or 9, whatever it is, needs to be repaired? What is broken needs to be repaired. What are your plans for it? What are you doing about it right now? It's not an academic discussion. We're all involved in it. What will you do when you are an adult? What are your plans for that? And this whole exercise goes on. So suffering ceases to be suffering the moment it finds meaning. And if we have a purpose, which we have started at Jubilee Hills, at Gachibowli, in all our early learning centers across Hyderabad, Bangalore and Pune, and we continued right till grade 12 over there, we can turn tragedy into triumph. We can turn tragedy into triumph. The steroid is purpose. The purpose gives meaning, something to live for, something to die for. The people who survived in Auschwitz and Dachau in the concentration camps were not the young and the strong. They were those people who had something to live for. अपने लिए तो जिंदगी सभी जीते हैं, दूसरों के लिए जीना जिंदगी का नाम है. This is what we are teaching your young children today. Therefore, they are going to be young entrepreneurs. And they're going to be young entrepreneurs, and our objective is that they should be, when they graduate from the school, they should be startup ready. Their countries are startup ready. Children, after graduation from school, have to be startup ready. Being startup ready after college is too late in the post-corona world. It's too late. You'll miss the bus. And we have taken a giant leap by starting a startup school at Bangalore campus. We're going to do with grade 9 kids to 12. It's an experiment of 30 kids. And we are doing that along with the best brains in Bangalore, best entrepreneurs, best venture capitalists, most successful people from the Silicon Valley. After all, Bangalore is the startup capital of India. They'll be mentoring them and guiding them to become entrepreneurs. All entrepreneurs are leaders, but most leaders are not entrepreneurs. We need to have an entrepreneurial mind to survive. And after this experiment is over, we will upgrade it to 100, and we'll have it in Pune and we'll have it in Hyderabad also. So this is the exercise that is being done over there. I would like to tell the parents of one thing, and I mean it when I say that, is that Corona is I think the best thing that has happened to us. Best thing that has happened to us. We were so content obsessed that we had lost our innovation. In the last 72 years, none of our IITs, IIMs, or premier companies have produced one life-altering innovation. At best, it was jugaad. This is not what I feel. This is not what Narayan Murthy feels. This is not what NASSCOM feels. This is not what Government of India feels. This is not Wojak, the co-founder of Apple, who feels that. The world feels that, realizes that. We have waited somewhere. And Corona is the greatest disruptor that has happened. It should have happened much earlier. As a result of this, our innovation is to come back where it should be. Why is it that the same Indians who graduate from our schools from India, who are the same graduates of IITs and IIMs and all these big institutions there, when they go abroad, they become CEOs of Google and IBM and Pepsi Cola and Microsoft? Why is it that all the people who get Indians who get the Nobel Prizes, they get the Nobel Prizes when they're outside India, when they're working in some other country? It's because the culturalization, the nurturing there is different. The environment is different. We are not just creatures of genes. We are also creature of nurture. It is a nature and nurture combination that is required there. So I think it is that environment which needs to come, and Crucible experience focuses our attention on that. And this is why I say Corona is the good thing that has happened and we should welcome it and take it on head on. It has given time to us to reconnect with ourselves. Around this great journey, we are disconnected with ourselves. And I say it with all humility that is my personal view. I may be wrong. Facebook is a cry for loneliness. Facebook is a cry for loneliness. We are lonely people. Lonely people on lonely planets. Corona is now reconnected. We are lonely because we are disconnected from ourselves. हम अपने आप से पराये हो गए. We are alienated from us. We do not know who we are. We know chemistry, physics, maths, engineering, medicine. We know everything. But we know nothing, absolutely nothing about ourselves. Corona is now a reminder. Corona is forcing us to reconnect ourselves. Corona is sending out a message which Socrates sent out in 326 BC. An unexamined life is a life not worth living. Time to press the pause button, to reflect, to introspect, to contemplate, and to refocus our GPS and to recenter ourselves. That is what Corona has done. I would also like to assure you of how we see the next couple of months folding out. A lot of questions people ask, when is school going to open? In our understanding, school, firstly, we are not oracles. We have no idea when school will open. The decision to open schools will that be of the government of India, Prime Minister Narendra Modi. And the decision will be taken by doctors and scientists and economists as to when the school is going to open. There are a large number of children, 80% of us government schools, and I would say another 10% private schools have no internet access. Our economy is going to suffer very badly. They'll have no connectivity. So the government will have to take a decision. It can't be arbitrarily taken by Indus that today we will open it up. It can't be done. We are living in a collaborative world. So Indus plan, back to school plan is as follows. That as and when the green flag is raised, and the governments give us the go to go, along with protocols, there will be definitely a lot of protocols and advisories to fulfill there. We have got into a close collaboration with Apollo hospitals, and along with them, we have worked out a back to school plan. It's a very elaborate plan prepared by the doctors and scientists in Apollo hospitals, who have got access to the best practices in the world as I speak to you today. We've had two very long sessions with them, one yesterday, one 5-6 days back. And this afternoon, we'll be again discussing amongst ourselves, all the school leaders of all the three schools, further refinement will be done. And so when the orders come in there, this back to school plan, which we will share with you, we are very conscious of the fact, ladies and gentlemen, that we cannot afford even one child to be asymptomatic. Forget about positive, to be even asymptomatic. We cannot take, it will be wrong on our part to risk your child. So under the, and this backup plan is going to be supervised by the doctors of Apollo. Whatever protocols are going to be positioned there, the nurses and doctors will be there in situ daily to ensure that the protocols are there so that your children are absolutely safe. In fact, they'll be safer when the lockdown lifts than your children will be at home. The campus, with these stringent rules and conditions of social distancing and disinfection and following all the other protocols to obviate any possibility, will be there. And so the moment the light is given, they require 1 month to hire extra doctors and staff to put them in position. So 1 month from the time the flag is raised, we will allow children to come into the school. Till then, we will continue online. And I'd like to on record the wonderful job our teachers are doing. Wonderful job they're doing. Do you know there are only 5 articles on internet, good articles on internet, on how online education of say 2-year or 3-year-olds could be done? Only 5 articles. The world had never thought there was a requirement to do it. Indus has pioneered a lot of groundbreaking work in this, and I'd like to compliment the Novera's team and the Jubilee team and the Gachibowli team heads over there. It's an extremely difficult thing to do, and they've done a mighty good job of it. So we want to assure each parent that your child is not only safe, your child is safer than when she or he will be anywhere else except on the 27 acres at Shankarpalli. So if there are any, so I thank you very much. I know I'm looking at the clock, it's 12:42. We got to get lunch organized and see the children organized. So I'll stop here. If there are any questions which you have, I'll be delighted to answer them. But please be free to ask me any questions. And Nuvera is also there. If I can't answer that, I'll ask her to step in.